Hi, I'm Mobach.
Take two.
It is, yes. Mobach from Seven Leaves and Mob Life. And I have Rick Trojan with me today. He's
Howdy.
the founder of Hemp Road Trip and then the Hemp Industries Association too.
Yeah, so I
Yes.
didn't find that. That's been around for 30 years or so, but I've been on the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, not found it, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
You're not that one. But all right, so Hemp Road Trip, tell us a little bit about that.
So Hemp Road Trip was a project I found in 2015 to educate people about hemp. So I bought a biodiesel bus and drove it around the country now 12 times and just literally to every state. Talked to all legislators, followed the presidential primaries in 2016, talked
Great.
to 8 out of the 10 presidential candidates, and I thought, I was naive, I thought we'd just tell them about hemp and that politicians had our best interests at heart and wanted to do what's right for us. And they'd be like, oh, hemp does this, we should just do that because all this other stuff's toxic. And that wasn't the response that I got from them. But education was a key point of it, and we were able to pass the Farm Bill in 2018.
Yes.
But education is still much needed.
It is, and thank you for that too. And how many of those have you done?
12. So we've been around the country 12 times and been to all 6 continents growing hemp. So Africa,
It's so
South
cool.
Africa, Australia, Asia. So yeah, it's amazing.
Did you have a bus in those countries too? Or?
No, I wanted to take the bus. We looked at a bus
Yeah.
in Europe, and I was going to get a bus out there and drive it around, but we didn't end up going that way.
I was gonna say I'd be like to ship that thing.
Yes,
you know.
for sure. It's
Yeah,
very heavy
'cause that's
biodiesel bus.
how I met you was in Knoxville. You know, you were trying to park it
Yep.
on the streets, and I'm like, all right, this is my thing. There's a bus with cannabis leaves all over it,
Yep.
essentially.
And you helped
so-
us park and get in. It was great.
yeah, and we've been in touch ever since.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, cool. And so, what's the strangest thing that happened on the road, or wildest happenings?
I ate some weird stuff like in China, right? They have like beaks of a rooster and like chicken claws that I wasn't able to eat, but some wild stuff. And we've been pretty well received everywhere. I mean, once people understand that this is cannabis, right, and that cannabis is natural and non-toxic, and it's not what we've been taught, right?
Yeah.
It's been very well received.
Right? Like our shoes. We
Yeah,
have.
look at this.
We didn't even plan this. We have matching shoes. So how weird is that?
Big
But-
shout out to 800 kicks, right?
Yeah,
for the shoes.
8,000 kicks, I
8,000
think.
kicks.
Yeah.
800, 8,000?
Yeah, we got it right. 8 something.
Yeah.
But
8 with some zeros and
they're
some kicks.
Very good. Very comfortable, and
They're very good. Waterproof too, I heard, so that's awesome. Yeah.
So it's raining today, so we need
Yes.
that. Yes. So what age did you first become interested in hemp?
Probably in my mid-30s.
Yeah.
I started a marijuana company. I just moved back to Colorado. I wanted to stay there, and so I started marijuana because I had to stay in Colorado. And then ended up traveling in Germany and found out about cannabis, right, and hemp and all the other things that cannabis can do, and then just got after it. So bought the bus and started trying to change the world.
Yes, and you have. So thank you. And so how about education? Are you self-educated on cannabis, or did you?
I mean, mostly self-educated to start, but then of course traveling around the world, I met people like in South Africa that have been doing cannabis for 20 years, hemp for 20 years,
Yeah.
all over Europe, right, Asia. So self-taught and then learning from the masters that
Yeah,
have been
from
doing it for years.
immersion education. That's
exactly.
the best.
Yep,
you
exactly.
know.
You get to sit and have dinner and coffee and really learn from experts all around the world.
Okay. So what area, I guess this would be a broad question, but what country or state even here has been the hardest to educate? Like kind of really resistant to?
Most people, when you talk to them and you sit down and talk and share information, are open, right?
Yeah.
Most legislators are not, right? So, I mean, states like Idaho has had their head up their ass the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, all these states, they just, being against this plan is just short-sighted, right? It provides so many benefits to so many people in a natural, sustainable, regenerative way. Being against it is actually just doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
So, and there are people that don't make sense all over the world, right? So, unfortunately for us, a lot of those people are in power, right? And so, they're making decisions based on no sense, right? Like they did in Texas last week about Delta 8, right? So, banning a naturally occurring cannabinoid doesn't make any sense, right? So, Texas, Idaho, some of those other legislators are just backwards.
Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin, basically Kenosha, but it's been rough. Luckily, they've been really great with CBD and everything. And we have a couple really good legislators. Melissa Sargent, I don't know if you've heard of her.
No.
She's awesome. She's been like on the forefront with this, and
We
she
need
has,
people like that.
like 4 kids, mom, and everything. So we need.
Yeah, for
she
sure.
helps with that for sure.
Well, I think
Yeah.
people, once they have a personal story, right, it helps their grandma or it helps their kids with autism, or it helps,
Yeah.
they understand that this plant, these cannabinoids are helpful, right? They're not the demon devil no one's jumping off a 5th-story window.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, right? So, yeah.
It's a huge disservice that they've done. I mean,
Yeah.
because like my grandpa is 93, and thinks I'm a drug dealer because I
Right.
sell CBD, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so. I wish you would.
Meanwhile,
take
he's
it.
taking drugs from drug dealers like Merck
Yeah.
and Pfizer and like those drug dealers, right? But
Yeah.
those are legal and they're synthetic, but it just,
And it could
again,
help
doesn't make
him.
any sense.
He has
It could
trouble
totally help him.
sleeping.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you have to be sore at 93, so I feel bad.
You see
that
a
he's-
lot. Like you deserve some Delta 8 at 93, I think,
Yeah.
to go to sleep.
The nursing homes will be different when we're all hopefully
We'll be
all-
partying and
yeah.
hanging out. Totally. Yeah.
Exactly. So, how long do you predict before we move away from non-sustainable resources like lumber, all that, and move over to hemp? Because hempcrete, we can build buildings with hempcrete. It's like mold resistant, so many things, and
Fire resistant,
Yeah.
mold resistant. So the reality is, and I think this is the challenge, is hemp is such an amazing, cannabis is such an amazing plant that can do so many things in a natural, sustainable way. And we're trying to fit something we've been using for tens of thousands of years as humanity into a system that has been created in the last 100 years, right? The Rockefeller DuPont system of Comergy and toxic synthesized. This system isn't set up for natural solutions. So I don't think, as much as it pains me to say, I don't see hemp fitted into our system in the next 10, 20 years because the system is broken. So you can't fit a natural, something that's good into a broken system. It just stays in that system. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be compatible. And I think, hopefully, hemp helps us break the system into a more communal, healthy, nature-driven, regenerative, humanity.
Definitely. Yeah, because it's sad, we're in a hemp or a climate crisis,
Yep.
and they're all like scratching their heads on what can we do, and it seems so obvious,
Yeah.
like hemp can, right?
Yep. Hemp
Hashtag.
can. Yep. For sure.
Yeah.
Hemp can. And hemp as a the full carbon market is a market I think hemp's perfectly suited for. Right.
Yeah.
So you're turning your farm into a carbon capture sequestration
Yeah.
pot, right? And you're getting paid for that, right? From the carbon market. So I think that may be a way. Excuse me. That may be a way to get it in the system.
Yeah, and totally with it's just renewable resource. Like our Earth just needs to focus on that I think,
Yeah.
a little bit more and go back to our roots.
Yep. Totally.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. Like this is what our country was built on. So it's sad to see how far we've come.
You used to be
from
able to pay
there.
your taxes with hemp.
Yeah, and it used to be like the American thing to do. Like let's
Yep.
help. And I feel like we're in a crisis right now globally, and it could just we need to start thinking more globally.
Yeah. If we let this be part of the solution, we'll be a big part of the solution.
Yes. And what's the single most important thing about hemp, do you think? I know that's such a, but
I
one
think
thing.
it's not the devil's lettuce. It's not weed. It's not, and even weed. No one's died from weed. No one's died from cannabis, overdose from cannabis in the history of time.
Well,
right?
it's impossible.
It's
actually.
impossible. And
Yeah.
our body has a system that's made for cannabis, right? The endocannabinoid system. And so I think, if I could teach one thing, is that cannabis has grown up with humanity for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. We've been misled and taken off course for the last 100. It's time to stop the madness and get back to what is healthy and regenerative, and that's cannabis.
And it's in us.
Yeah, it's literally a part of our body. It's a part of our body that helps control the rest of our body. So we should probably feed that with cannabinoids.
Yeah, I can't wait till doctors test like our, that our system
ECS.
instead of the endocrine system.
Yeah.
Just find out what our doses and what we need and what we're deficient.
Yep. Like,
that would be
okay, they need
great.
more myrcene, they need more CBD.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you for your time. It was
Thanks
really
for,
great.
coming out. Yeah.
And good to see you and everything.
Thank
and
you.
hemp can save the world, right?
Absolutely.